All right, here we are. What is this? This is Saturday, September 26th. Uh, TacMed TV live at 5 o'clock. Uh, Not going to be on here long today. Going to do no more than 30 minutes. We'll see how that goes. Um, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Uh, Been busy. Of course, I missed the last Saturday. Had some stuff going on. Uh, just that's life. That's what happens. So, but I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed here. So this is going to be a little bit of a rant video. With getting my parents down here and taking them to medical appointments, and then uh, even myself, going to the doctor a little bit more, and got some interesting stuff set up. I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But anyway, I've noticed that a lot of people in healthcare, it seems like your CNAs, your techs, medical technicians, medical assistants, um, they slack ass on the vital signs. They roll their little card in there and think that machine's just going to tell them everything. All right, they don't. It's like they don't even try to put a hand on the patient, and that's something that aggravates me to death. So I'm just going to kind of rant about that a little bit, and give some advice to some people that are getting into the medical field, or that are in the medical field. If you're one of those people that does that puts a pulse ox on somebody's finger and says, okay, well, that's their pulse rate. Well, no, that pulse oximeter, which again, I've got a video coming up on pulse oximetry. Um, it's a good tool for what it is, but too many people mm, give it a lot more credit and overuse it. They overuse something they don't even realize and truly understand what it is they're using. So if you check somebody's pulse, don't trust what the pulse oximeter says. Check their pulse. Put your hand at their radio pulse, time it, check it. Especially if you've got somebody that's got a history of atrial fib. An issue. Was it today? I think it was today. My dad's in a rehab hospital from where he fell and broke his hip, and I went in and saw him today, and the uh, physical therapy assistant brought him back to the room, or the CNA or whoever it is. I'm assuming it's a PTA, and we're wearing a different color scrubs than everybody else. Brought him back and said, well, his heart rate got up to. We put the pulse ox on his finger, and his heart rate got up to 110. But it was just bouncing around all over the place. He might need an EKG. And I said, no. I had just check it at the radius. So he's got a history of atrial fibrillation. He's going to have an irregular heartbeat. You actually have to physically, manually check a pulse on him to get a reasonably accurate heart rate, because it's an irregular heartbeat. So same thing if you've got them on a cardiac monitor. If you've got a patient that's in atrial fibrillation on a cardiac monitor, check their pulse. If you really want to know what the pulse is, check it manually and time it, because if you notice, even on the monitor, it bounces around because they may have several beats that are closer together than the others, and they start to space out and get closer together. The computer is going to read that differently. All right, it's taking a just a little snapshot in time, and that's all it's doing. That's why it jumps around. Okay, it's just a little snapshot in time. So actually put your hands on your patients. Don't be scared. They're not going to bite you, at least unless it's a psych issue. Then they might. So keep your hands to yourself in that case. But in all seriousness, if you're going to do vital signs on somebody, check a pulse. Just do it. Reach down there, check a pulse. If you don't know how, ask somebody. They will teach you. All right. And that was another issue I had. I took my mother to the doctor the other day. Came in, put the pulse ox on her finger, and said her SpO2 was 96% and her heart rate was 44. I was like, what? Her heart rate is what? 44. I said, that's bradycardia. That's really low. That would be, she's not probably going to be sitting up with all of her comorbidities she's got. So I said, how about we just manually take it? And she put the pulse box back on there. So I stood up and actually counted my mother's pulse out, and it was running at 64 beats a minute. Big difference between that and 44. All right. Plus, when you do that, when you do these vital signs and you actually put your hands on that patient, you get to tell what their skin feels like. Okay. That's kind of important sometimes. Okay. Um, that's one of those things that's good to know. Is it pink, warm, and dry? Is it gray and clammy and cool? Is it hot and sweaty? These are things you need to know, and maybe you can't necessarily tell that just by looking. You need to touch. All right, reach out there, check a pulse right here. Here, let me take my watch off and show it. And like I said, this is kind of a rant video. Right in here is where you're going to feel for that pulse, just like that. All right, right there with your fingertips. And then you're going to look at your watch and you're going to count it for 15 seconds and multiply it by 4. So anyway, that's one of my big rants. And then the pulse ox, again, that's an issue I've got anyway. I think this is an overused piece of equipment, and I think a lot of the people that use it don't know exactly what it means. Well, let's just turn it on here. Let's see if it'll do anything with it sitting right here. But I mean, the pulse ox is, you see the little light in there flashing, and the way this works is that light flashes through and it measures the absorption of the light rays passing through oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. All right, to give you a reading. What's that say? I can't tell. What does it say? It says my heart rate's 116. I guarantee it's not, but my SpO2 is 99%. So anyway, it may be up a little bit. I'm ranting. So anyway, that's how that works. It just measures the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, and it gives you a estimate of what percent of the hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen. All right. The big thing with this one for me is look at your patient, treat your patient, not the monitor. All right. If your pulse oximeter is saying 98, 99, 100%, but they look like they're working to breathe, give them some oxygen. Okay. It's all about the patient. It's not about what that monitor says. This little thing, this little thing right here will lie to you sometimes. All right, and that's just the facts. If their fingers are cold, they've got a, if your fingers are cold, then of course you've got the vasoconstriction here because blood's starting to shun away. That's why your hands are cold. You're in a cold environment, the body starts pulling blood in to the core, and the fingertips, toes, feet, hands, that kind of stuff, they start to get cold. Well, when they get cold, capillary refill is going to be a little decreased, and this isn't going to read as well. Those capillaries are starting to vasoconstrict, so it's not going to read as well. All right, so it will lie to you in that point. If you've got a patient that is hypovolemic, all right, it will lie to you. They don't have a lot of volume. All right, in that case, it's going to tell you, with the case with the hands being cold, it's going to lie and tell you it's lower than what it actually is. And then in the case of a trauma patient that's hypovolemic or a GI bleed or something of that nature, they're not going to have the volume. So what volume they have may be 98, 99%, but at the cellular level, they're not getting enough oxygen. So go ahead and put them on some supplemental O's. All right. You've got to make sure that they're getting oxygenated. Don't trust this. All right. This just gives you, using this should tell you what you already know by looking at your patient. All right. Whether they need oxygen or not. This does not tell you whether or not they need oxygen. In our world, in the environment that we work in on the street, doing emergency field care, this does not tell you if they need oxygen or not. Okay. Look at your patient. Your patient, the way they are presenting will tell you whether or not they need oxygen. All right. Same thing if you've got somebody that's got anemia. All right. They've got a decreased red blood cells, or their hemoglobin's low. That's even better. Their H and H, their hemoglobin's low. They may be satin fine, but again, they've got decreased hemoglobin in their bloodstream. They need O's, okay? At the cellular level, respiration may not be taking place as well as you want it to. The definitive way to find out what the oxygen saturation is blood gases. All right, and that's not something I am going to get into. It's not something that we do on the truck. It's something that we all learn about in paramedic school, and we learn how to read blood gases. We learn how to interpret those results, and that gets into the whole acid-base balance thing. And yeah, it's important to know that, but we don't do it on the truck. So I'm not going to say never, but I probably will not anytime soon do a video on blood gases. But I may, if it's something y'all want to see, let me know. We'll do something on blood gases. But more than likely, probably not. So anyway, that's my big thing for the meat of this conversation today, is just everybody that is providing patient care. All right, put your hands on your patient, do legitimate vital signs. What are the vital signs? What do they entail now? Because it's changed a little bit. Back in my day, it was pulse, respiration, and blood pressure, and now it's pulse, respiration, blood pressure, pulse ox. Nowadays especially, and I'm not even going to go into that rant. Pulse, respiration, blood pressure, pulse oximetry, and temperature. All right, and temperature was already kind of there before all this bullshit COVID stuff started. And I'm not going any further into that, but it was already kind of there. We were already doing that anyway, so that's been something that's seamless, because temperature is important in several different types of patients that you might see, whether it's somebody with the flu or if it's a septic patient. You get the idea. That actually, and if you hear any weird noises in the background, Murphy and Maxwell. Murphy, our pet Yorkie, is a little over 1 year old. He's jumping around out here, and Maxwell is probably, you won't hear anything out of Maxwell. He's over asleep on the chair. Hey, Kenneth, what's up, buddy? Using ET is better indicator. Absolutely. Thank you. End-tidal CO2 is a better indicator of patient respiratory status versus SaPO2. Pulse oximeter is another tool to assist in assessment. Remember, technology fails and does not give you the big picture. Thank you. You are right. Use your hands and your eyes. Brother, me and you need to meet. You and I are going to get along just fine. But you are absolutely correct. The end-tidal CO2 is a much better way to determine if your patient actually needs oxygen or whatever, and what their respiratory status is and how they're doing, especially with your COPDers and your CO2 retainers. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that, especially when I wasn't even really prepared to talk about end-tidal. I was just going to rant, but yeah, Kenneth, you're absolutely right, man. We've got the nasal cannulas now that have the little spoon thing on the end, so we can watch their end-tidal. And of course, anytime anybody gets intubated nowadays, you get the end-tidal. It's already on the tube when you put the tube in. So as soon as you get that first breath, you're getting an end-tidal reading back, as long as you didn't end up in the gullet. So anyway, but you're absolutely right. Use your hands and your eyes, man. That's what we're here for. We're taught, for years and years, the paramedic practice was taught in the vocational setting, in the vocational school, and maybe we've been looked down on because of that. But I'm starting to see programs moving into the universities and into the community colleges and stuff like that, and I think that's fine. Especially the program that we've got here at Sky CTC. Very good friend of mine's the director of that. Another friend of mine is one of the lead instructors, and they do a really good job. And they're still keeping it real. They're old school paramedics, and they're teaching the kids coming out to do just exactly that. Use your hands and your eyes and your ears. Pay attention to what your patient's doing. They're teaching that style. But I think the big part where we came from the vocational world is that we do use our hands. We are a very skills-oriented career field, career path, very skills-oriented. We have some very advanced skills that we can do as paramedics. Some of those skills nobody else very few other medical providers are able to do that stuff. Of course, the big one that everybody thinks about is endotracheal intubation or nasotracheal intubation. That's a big one. Percutaneous cricothyroidotomies. It's a mouthful to say. But anyway, that's where we came from. And so we need to be using our hands, all right? Talking to our patients, listening to what they're saying, listening to how they're saying what they're saying, using our ears, listen to their lungs, using our hands, feel their skin, check their pulse, and get a lot of information that way. Okay, you get a lot of information. Use your senses when you're dealing with your patients. So anyway, but thanks, Kenneth. I appreciate you throwing that in there. That is, dude, spot on. Absolutely spot on. Now you got me thinking about I may end up having to do something on entitle. I think that might be something interesting to do. I know just the person I could bring in to really lay it out to be somebody better than me that knows a lot more about it. But anywho, but that's my big rant for that today, and I'm going to get off of that. Shifting gears a little bit here. I actually went to a podiatrist the other day. Been having some problems with my feet and everything. They're hurting. Go figure, working EMS and I'm getting old now. So everything's, having to get stuff checked out. And while I was there, I was able to talk with the podiatrist a little bit, and I'm going to try to talk him into coming on the channel and doing an interview about foot care, especially with our line of work in the tactical environment. We've got to keep our operators on their feet. Okay. So just some basic foot care is something that is going to be very important. And I want to go beyond just, take your shoes off, take your socks off, put on a new pair of socks, let your feet air, that kind of thing. I want to go a little bit beyond that. One of the other things that we've done that reminded me of that when I was talking to Dr. Holland about that, and that's the podiatrist I went to, Dr. Chris Holland, super great guy, real receptive when I was asking him about this. But another thing, we have in the past, we've got, Western Kentucky University is in our town where we're at, and that's NCAA Division I men's sports program for football and basketball. And I think it's going to be something, going to try to get back in with some of the athletic trainers and learn how to wrap ankles the way they do to keep those football players out on the field. All right, and do the assessment. And Dr. Holland's gonna help with that as well, I believe. But I'm gonna try to, like I said, try to get him to come on. If not, I'll do some time with him, do an off-camera interview, and I'll come back and do a video on that. So, anywho, seems like there was something else I was going to bring up too, and I can't remember what it was. This is one of those things you can tell I'm getting old because of having some short-term memory stuff. Plus 9 times out of 10, I have to say a thought to think it. So if it pops in there and if I don't say it immediately, I'll forget it. Forget I ever even had it. That's part of that whole Myers-Briggs personality typing thing. I'm an extrovert, and by that definition, I have to say a thought to think a thought. So I literally have to speak before I think sometimes. So other than that, trying to think, I can't think of anything else that I really wanted to cover other than just talking about, making sure that you're touching your patients. And my cat is real interested in my light setup right now. If you see the light fluctuating, my cat just knocked over my light. So anyway, I can't think of anything else I want to do. This is really short today. Not going to cover anything else today. I am going to be shooting tomorrow. The video I'm going to shoot tomorrow is going to be on my Stomp 2 bag, my medical kit that I carry with the SWAT team. And come here. Hold on just a second. I want y'all to meet this person. Come here. Come here. All right. This is Maxwell. Say hi to everybody, Maxwell. All right. We found this little guy. Well, Annette did, my wife. Found him in a dumpster with 4 of his brothers and sisters. All right. She brought him home. The vet said he was about a week old. You already want down, don't you? Yeah, you do. Found him in a dumpster. We bottle fed him from when he was like this big. You could wrap him up in a hand towel. And now he's a big kitty and torments the Yorkie, and they actually get along very well. But anyway, all right, well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to shoot the video on the Stump 2 bag tomorrow. I'll get it edited. Starting to have some issues with my computer and the editing software. That's one reason why the previous live episode hadn't been posted yet. I've been having some issues. So I'm going to end up having to get, and the cat's trying to walk on the keyboard because that's what they do. So anyway, get that done. I'll get that posted. Hopefully have it out for Monday. The Pulse Ox video, probably going to shoot it tomorrow too. I'm actually going to get the whiteboard out and we'll talk about some different things and how it works and everything. And then I've got something planned as well for some active shooter stuff. We've got active shooter training coming back. I think it's in November. We're going to be working on some of that using the alert model from, Texas State University. Some big stuff going on, like I said, but it's everything's just going to have to be hit and miss for a little while because, like I say, I'm trying to get my mom and dad back and forth to doctor's appointments, and now I'm getting me to doctor's appointments and so on and so forth, just to make sure I'm staying healthy and making sure they're staying healthy. So anyway, I'm going to bounce. Looks like we're 21 minutes and probably be about 45 seconds in when I cut it loose. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce. I covered what I wanted to cover today. Get out there when you're treating your patients, actually put your hands on them, check their pulse. Don't believe the pulse oximeter. It's a tool to give you an idea of what might be going on. It's just something else to document. But listen to your patient, all right? If they sound like they need oxygen, if they look like they need oxygen, don't believe what the pulse ox is telling you, okay? Treat your patient, not the monitor. That's the moral of today's video. Treat your patient, not the monitor. All right, folks, I'm out of here. We're 22 minutes and some odd seconds. I'm going to bounce. I got some other stuff I got to get done, get things set up for tomorrow's shoot day. So I will talk to you soon. We'll be back. Everything, God willing, and the creek don't rise. We will be back in 2 weeks at 5 o'clock on whatever Saturday that is. That will be Saturday. We might be getting into October. Yeah, that'll be, looks like Saturday, the 10th of October. We'll be back, and going to try to have something special for you guys on that day. So anyway, I'm out of here. My name is Steve with TacMed TV, telling you guys to stay safe, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.